Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
Paul Sansone Jr., thank you so much for being here. I'm really grateful for your time. You're a busy guy. You have a lot going on, and you being here means the world to me, so thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I've obviously seen and heard the name for, I'm going to be 33 years old this year. I've heard it for as long as I can remember back. It's one thing when people know, I think a brand is what people say about you when you're not in a room, right? And I've only ever heard great things about the Sansone Jr. and Sansone brand in general.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so that's awesome. You've been in the automotive space and car sales space for 45 years. What was it that got you into cars?
Well, I'm second generation, so quite frankly, my father started the business. He's quite an entrepreneur story in himself, but he started the business as a used car salesman and built an automotive empire that I had an opportunity to be able to be a part of for 30 years. So pretty much was born into it, but it's the type of business that if you don't like it, you're not good at it.
Right. So
I have other siblings that, also were in the business at some points in time. But again, it just because
in and out.
Yeah, just because your father owns it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And again, this business is very intense at times. So I just always never thought I was going to do anything else.
Now, that's really what I love though about your story in particular, right? And shout out to Kim for the intro. But, one of the things that, I love particularly about your story is there's so many people, Paul, that are out there that their families have a successful business. And they either come in and they take over, and, like you said, some people are in and out, it doesn't work, or they don't continue the trajectory upward. But it's a whole other thing to branch out and start your own thing and then continue success that way. How has that been for you?
Well, the family dynamic in itself is a slippery slope for many people to deal with, whether you're in the auto industry or otherwise. I never realized what a negative opinion many people had of the owner's son, to be honest with you.
Really?
Because everyone assumes that things are handed to you.
You're entitled,
or whatever.
Entitled, yeah.
That was certainly not my father's MO.
Yeah.
I always felt like I worked for everything I got. I worked for my father for 30 years, ran the operations for the last 10 years of that, right. And then at 50 years old, we both decided it was in our best interest to separate. And sometimes. As difficult as a decision, and that was 08.
I was going to say that had to be difficult.
Yeah, 08, 09.
Tough year. That's when I started Adapting Social.
Well, to be honest with you, a very tough year to be out on your own. And, my father's a very strong-willed guy. I think I am also. We were probably too similar. Quite frankly, I said, look, one of us is going to go to work and somebody's going to play golf. Your choice. And the fact of the matter is he's still working today at 88 years old.
Wow,
and,
God bless him.
Yeah, no, it's true. God bless him. It's what motivates him and keeps him going. He runs a very sharp business. But we just both, him more than me, felt it was time to separate. And again, at 50 years old to relaunch yourself in 08, 09 for any viewers that are out there, that was not an easy time to be in to be in any industry.
No.
But certainly not being out on your own. So, the moral of that story is sometimes a devastating event, and it was for myself and my family to separate in business. It turned out to be a blessing. And
now you're your own boss.
Well, now I'm my own boss. I've been able to create things that I've always had in my head, but you were never able to fully engage if it's not your business.
Right.
Some of them have worked. Some of them, have not been as successful. But you're your own boss. You create your own environment. No matter as independent as I thought I was when it's not your checkbook.
Yeah.
When you really don't have a checkbook behind you, and,
Right.
and you've got to figure out a way to make things work, you certainly operate differently.
Correct. Right.
I certainly feel I'm a sharper business guy. But the fact is, out of a devastating situation, it's created a heck of a lot of opportunities for me. And it has allowed me to build a business that my sons are thriving in.
That's amazing.
And whether that would have been the same successes, I don't know. But the fact is, my wife was very concerned about that family dynamic. You know, I don't want my kids to go through what you went through.
Yeah.
And I always looked at it that, I always felt I had an opportunity, but I still had to execute on the opportunity. And,
right.
And that's what I told her. I guess I could be candid in a podcast. I told my wife, frankly, there'll only be two problems. If our kids take it for granted and they're lazy, which they're not, or they suck.
One or two.
Those would be the only reasons why they won't thrive in this business.
Right.
And neither one of them. Neither one of them are applicable. Actually, they're both real assets to my business.
Yeah.
But I think the environment and the culture that we created on our own is what has made that success. And I've been fortunate enough to have different lanes for each one of them to go down.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, and it's obviously fair to say that through this transition 15 years ago, that it's been able to build you, even in a way, I guess, better as an entrepreneur, build your own financial freedom, right? Would you say that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No.
So in a way, do you view it as a blessing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife and I both view it as a blessing.
Good. Yeah.
And it has definitely made me a stronger business person.
Yeah.
It's made me. I've always been compassionate with my employees. I've always had that thing that I always felt if I took care of them, they'll end up taking care of me.
Totally.
Sometimes you get burnt. Sometimes that doesn't work out, but I want to live my life that way, that I'd rather take the high road, and I do believe most people respond to positive reinforcement than the other.
Yeah.
And but like I said, I think the biggest thing it created was that allowed the creative freedom to flow in things that were natural to my business. I started a company called Tier 4 Marketing, and in our space, everybody tells a salesman that you're a business within a business.
Yeah.
So what business doesn't have their own websites? What business doesn't have their own social presence?
Yeah.
So I actually created a marketing company that helped my salesmen promote themselves within the business.
Good.
So that was one way for me to improve my business by helping my salesmen be more successful.
Right.
It helps me be more successful. And I have very little turnover in an industry that
high turnover.
It has a very high turnover.
Yeah, high turnover, yeah.
And, so that whole idea came out of a simple concept of how do I retain my people and basically help them earn more money. I mean, very simply.
And everybody wants that.
If you help them earn more money, not give them more money, help them earn more money and support them, then they'll stay, and that's pretty much been true.
Yeah.
So then... really another huge initiative that's very active at the dealership is the whole Hispanic. Actually, really, the first one before this, I believe in network selling, relationship selling.
Yeah, it's everything.
If you're going to sell it to the internet special, or there's not a whole lot of margin in that business. So for me, everybody wants a guy in the car business. Everyone wants a guy in the jewelry business.
Yes.
I want to be the guy in the car business.
Yes.
And it's true when you say, "Oh, I got a friend, I got a guy who'll take care of you." And those two industries
they really are that.
You really
are that.
Yeah. When I go jewelry, I'm always looking for the guy I know in the jewelry business.
You gotta have a guy.
You gotta have a guy. But the fact is, I wanted to be that guy and develop those relationships. And I think most consumers well, everyone wants a great deal, wants to gravitate to that guy, just to feel like they have that person that is taking care of them. So network selling. So I actually walked around the business. This is when I was with my father years ago. And I noticed I had a lot of female salespeople. That was at a time when
it wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that.
No.
And there were many showrooms, and I had 2 females here, 1 female there.
Yeah.
So I actually created a program called Women Selling Cars to Women.
Love it. Let's go.
I mean, what's the best? What's the best networking other than women influence most car buying experiences, and then be able to have somebody, instead of me trying to figure out what a woman's wants and needs are, let a woman
let them talk.
Let them talk the talk.
Yeah.
So
and then they don't feel like they're being sold. I've noticed that too, man. And the one thing that I feel like is so great, like I've seen obviously some of your content and what you guys do, and obviously you have happy people that work there. Obviously you treat people the right way. At the end of the day, the quintessential, sales tactic thing, when people think of like, oh my God, when they think of bad marketing or over being sold, they think of the quintessential, you walk onto a lot of a car place and somebody comes running to you and they're trying to sell you everything, right? And it's like the cool part about what you're saying is you're thinking about like women would much rather talk to another lady.
It's the relationship.
Makes sense, right?
It's relationships. Everybody wants to have a connection with somebody that they're doing business with.
Yeah.
That extended to actually a whole Hispanic initiative. I mean, we're in many areas of the country are now in either a fully Hispanic market or a growing Hispanic market.
Yeah.
Again, many years ago, in the last 5-6 years, I said, look, if we're going to get into that market, it just can't be me getting the guy from detailer to come up and translate to the community.
Right.
So I made a real effort of hiring, training, retaining Hispanic employees throughout the dealership, and we have a whole separate marketing budget for them, a whole separate social media content that you may see, and that business has grown to be a very big part of my business. If you take many businesses, it's how much of your market can you get? All right. So you get whatever percentage of your market you can. If that's not enough, how do you go beyond that? Expand your markets.
Right.
So whether that be going to other geographic areas, whether that be going to other ethnic groups, whether that be going in other segments, and the other area that led me to was working with customers at less than perfect credit,
which is like tough. But you see a lot of people advertising that now too. Isn't that kind of getting like in the car dealership marketing space? Like I typically I'm like a big radio person. My wife loves radio, like KTU, 903, 94.3, all that stuff. But I feel like every time I'm in the car with her, I constantly am hearing now, bad credit, no problem. Bad credit, terrible credit, no problem. So I feel like that's such a big marketing propaganda now.
Well, think about the terminology you use versus what I said. Bad credit, no problem. I talk about people with less than perfect credit. I talk about selling to customers with good people with low credit scores.
Yeah.
So it's a different, same people.
Yep.
But I want to attract
You're approaching it differently.
I want to approach it differently, but also by approaching it differently, they're looked at differently at my dealership.
Understood.
I have there is a need for subprime lending. There are real things happen.
Yeah.
Real life events. We all know somebody. If it hasn't happened to you, we all know somebody that's gone through divorce, illness, bankruptcy, job loss.
Yes.
I mean, everybody. I don't know. No matter what ethnic background
everybody
you're in,
goes
what
through,
economic. Everybody knows somebody. So I wanted to cater to that community, but also serve them differently.
Yeah.
So I created a company called NJ Auto Lending, which is a leasing. I'm a lender.
Right.
So I'm a subprime lender. Which means I lend to people with lower credit scores. But the difference between me with others is that I give our customers a path out of being subprime borrowers. Nobody else does that. So if you're truly somebody that life's happened to and you're ready to move forward, I give you a path to
building your credit.
Build your credit.
Right.
Transition from a higher interest rate, higher payment situation very quickly into traditional financing.
Yeah.
And we have customers that in a 18 to 24 month period have improved their credit 200 points.
Wow.
We have a credit coach that works with the customers. It's all part of the program. because my goal is to help you change your financial life, and improving your credit score.
Which is everything.
Everything.
How can you get? You can't get a house. You can't get a car. You can't
even
get
rent an apartment. You can't even rent an apartment.
You can't
Your
do nothing.
insurance rates, everything
Right.
is predicated on your score.
So we're talking about so far as we're going through this, and obviously if you ever go into something at this point, that's your camera if you want to. But what we're hearing so far from people listening in is you have 3 businesses already, right? Like you have your marketing, internal marketing. You have obviously Sansone Jr. You have NJ Auto Lending. Is there anything else actually outside of that?
Well, the success at NJ Auto Lending at my dealership has actually created a new business of now I own a technology company that facilitates installing my business model into other dealerships,
right?
Which potentially is going to be bigger than my dealerships.
Which is amazing. And hold that thought. The one thing I want people to realize though too, there are so many people, Paul, that go through situations where in 2008 that wasn't ideal. That whole business shifted for you, right? And you had to start off, when you're 50. Is that 2008?
2008 was survival, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And at a crazy freaking time.
Yep.
And now here we are in 2024, in retrospect, you have multiple businesses. You're doing well. You're healthy. You have a great business. You have a family. Too many people email into us and they're like, oh, I'm trying so hard and it's not working and, it's too tough and it's not. What would you say to those people who are feeling down? How you were feeling in 2008, maybe potentially, I don't know your mindset at that time, but what advice would you give to people that got kicked in the nuts, right? At that point, or punched in the stomach at that point, maybe how you were feeling.
Kicked in the nuts is an appropriate.
So what advice would you give them?
Work works.
Yeah.
To be honest,
just get in it and get after it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. This is a true parenting moment that I think is very important to the conversation.
I just had twins.
Okay.
So this is very relevant to me.
Well, I have 3 kids, 2 boys that are in the business with me. My oldest and my daughter, very easy to parent.
Yeah.
Very easy, stern look, and basically you got their attention. The middle one was a little bit more of a.
He's gonna test you.
Middle one was one that my wife and I had to think about parenting moments. There's certain things that will come up. I don't know how old your twins are.
Well, I have a 17-month-old, and then I have twins who are a month.
All right. Well, you will have parenting moments that will hit you that you have to sit back and say, how do I handle this?
Oh, and by the way, I have 2 boys and a girl too.
Okay. Well, you'll sit back and there'll be moments that you have to really sit back and think, how do I handle this?
Yeah.
Sometimes don't react right away. Think
about it. Yeah.
That was my middle son. That we had to be more thoughtful in with our approach with many things.
Yeah.
But the story is, when this all happened to me,
Yeah.
I have an office at my home, and one day my son's either a sophomore or junior in high school. I forget what year he was, and the one that was a little bit more of a challenge just stands in my doorway, and he says, "Dad, I want to let you know I get it." And I'm in my office very early in the morning, and I'm doing my thing.
You an early riser?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's getting dressed to go to school, and he stands at the door in my office at home, and he goes, "Dad, I just want to let you know I get it." And I'm like, "You get what?" He goes, I realize how hard you have to work to get what you want. And to me, it's still tough to say.
Dude.
Yeah. So to me, it's, but it is probably the DNA that if somebody wants to get something accomplished, that's what has to be in there. It's got to be that willingness to fight, that willingness to do what you got to do.
Right.
And as I look back on it, I actually don't even know how I got to where I'm at. other than put your head down and just keep swinging.
Right. But you're a beast. That's why. Come on.
No, but it's true. It's really true. You just go in each day and put your head down and try to surround yourself with people that can help you get to where you want to go. But work works. I can't tell you. You don't need to be the sharpest tool in the.
I'm certainly not.
Work works. And that's a message that I wish more people just understood. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to work harder than somebody else.
Oh man, I say one thing pretty often, and it's like if you show up on the days you don't want to show up, and the days that things suck, and you just get there, that's more than half the battle.
Yeah,
Absolutely. It's just showing up and being there, but working and getting your head into it, and just doing it. Oh my God, my toughest moments for me in my life, again, I started my business when I was 17. My family in 2008 almost lost the house, and I'm one of 5. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, how can I help? Figured out, obviously website stuff and whatever. And, as I'm door knocking in Bricktown, I stumble upon, a love for entrepreneurship and the people that I'm working with. And I just remember there were so many days, things that happened in my personal life, business and stuff, over the past, 16 years where, I'm like, if something's happened in my personal life and I go into work and start doing stuff, I always feel better. If I have stuff going on at work, I'm like, okay, I just got to work harder. I just got to work. And it always makes me feel better. So I love what you're saying because it just penetrates my soul. I'm like, dude, yes, I love that.
Well, similar story. I live across a beautiful place in Monmouth Beach. Live across the street from the beach. So I'm on the beach all the time. And there was a point in time where things were very tough that I put my house on the market. And I remember coming across the seawall. Yeah. And I was with my wife and seeing the for sale sign on the house. And I just picked up the sign and I said, I can't do it. I got to figure. I wanted that to be the place that the grandkids come when I'm older.
Come on.
So it's true. That's
dude. But time out. Also, I have to ask you a question. Are you proud of yourself?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And are you genuinely happy?
Oh yeah.
That's
absolutely.
amazing. Most entrepreneurs don't get to that point. I was on this podcast with
they don't get to the point of being proud of themselves or get to the point of being satisfied?
Exactly.
They always want more, but am
Correct.
I satisfied? I could say I'm absolutely satisfied.
I just had perfect example. I had one of my clients, Jamie from Eat Clean Bro, on the podcast. So Jamie,
I know Jamie.
Yes.
I saw the Eat Clean Bro in the refrigerator.
Yes. So I said to Jamie, I go, "Are you proud of yourself?" And he said, "No." And I've asked a lot of entrepreneurs. Some people are, some people aren't. And I had this podcast with this Harvard professor, and he essentially is in the he trains therapists on psychology department. Mm-hmm. And he said, John, people like you, work your asses off your whole life, and then you get the beach house and you never enjoy the view, right?
Yeah, I enjoy.
But for you though, I love that, and I'm getting better at it, Paul. I'm getting there. But the one thing I love, though, about that sign story, about you fucking taking that thing down and saying, oh, I'm not fucking selling, right? It's like, I'm not fucking leaving, like Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking leaving. It's like you looked at that and you manifested because it was so important for you to have your grandkids there, your kids there, your memories there. And, dude, it's like that's the crazy part that, I try to shake into the people that I love in my life or the people that matter or the people that are struggling and say, I want to provide a better life for my kids or I want to build a better future for my career. I know I deserve better. And they never do it. They sell the house, theoretically, right? They move and they sell the house because they don't think it's possible. But you took that sign down. You said work works. And you got back to work and you freaking still have the house.
Well, and, it's that's why, excuse me, that's why I am proud of myself. Quite frankly, I haven't accomplished everything I'd like to accomplish, but that doesn't mean I'm not proud of myself. But
you're not complacent, but
no, I'm not complacent.
Happy.
But I am in a position where, at my age, I have very qualified kids behind me. I'm going to let that, and a nephew actually. I'm going to let the next generation allow me to enjoy.
Get some golf in.
Yeah, I get my golf in, but
Good.
I'm gonna let them, take the heavy load of if they want to be grander or bigger than what we are. It's going to be on their sweat equity and maybe my guidance, but they'll be the engine that provides it. And actually, the other thing is my oldest son Paul was more natural. He was basically me born 30 years later.
Okay.
I mean, as far as on the showroom floor, his natural instinct. My son Michael, who was the middle child I talked about, that was not his natural DNA. Yeah. But this whole technology company, we're talking about falling into it. I mean, this thing that was my vision, but it's his hard work and dedication to that has made that a success. So they both have different lanes that I've been able to satisfy. And it's, as a parent, that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of my kids, the type of young adults they are. I'm proud of my employees. I think we have a very high quality of character.
Yeah.
And so I am satisfied with a lot of those things. Does it mean I accomplish everything I want to accomplish? No, but
so we're getting close to the end of the podcast, and I want to talk about your legacy, talk about your kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done this. We started the podcast in 2016. I've asked this question over 100 times, right? And so I'm gonna ask you this question first. So there's, I'll call it. I always go spice level. So one's like spicy, and one's like mild. Okay. Which one do you want first?
You're spicy.
Let's go. He looked at me now. He goes, even the fucking spice. I love it. So we've had maybe 3 or 4 people out of 100 people ever ask for the easy one first. So it makes sense. It's in order with the entrepreneur character.
Okay.
But nonetheless, so entrepreneurs, people like you, a lot of times we often think about legacy, right? Like, what are we going to leave behind for our kids or grandkids, being at the house, the beach house, And a lot of times you think about where your feet are planted here today and, what you want to leave behind, right? I want to, for this exercise, reverse engineer that, right? Mm-hmm. So the one thing that is going to supersede you, your wife, your kids, everybody, right? Which is your gravestone. Mm-hmm. If you were to, of course, paraphrase, I don't expect to have it like this, but if you were to paraphrase that, right? And I'm gonna kind of paint a picture, make it like a movie for a second. So your kids are at your gravestone, right? And now for this movie example, right? God willing, this is not the case, but for the extraction of it, so your kids are there with their kids, and they're just old enough now to understand what's going on, and your kids go, man, I wish you were able to meet Grandpa Paul. He was X. What would they say?
He was X. He was a very happy man. Mm. I actually have enjoyed every aspect of my life. I've enjoyed my high school friends. I still have them.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed my college
Where'd
life.
you go to high school and college, by the way?
Went to Rumson Fairhaven High School. I enjoyed my college life. I enjoyed my single life, and I'm happily married 33 years, so I enjoyed my married life. And I've enjoyed seeing my kids grow up to be nice young people with the similar characters. And that's, again, I feel I'm an extremely decent guy that, that really wants the best for others too. I mean, I'm not, some people thrive off of others' miseries. I actually enjoy friends' successes and everything else. And but anyway, I don't know. I would just say that I was a completely happy guy. I can't imagine anything in my life that I would have liked to have
done any other way.
Done differently.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. That's really amazing. Most people have regrets, and most people have times that they're not happy. The one thing that I love, that I'm going to be 33 this year. I started the business, my first business adapting, when I was 17, like I said. So I've been doing business for more years than I haven't been in my life now at this point, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. And, I'm learning, I've learned over the past few years, especially during COVID, taught us, I think, a lot. But that these really difficult moments that we have in our lives, there are, these two doors, right? And you can look at these moments that are really painful or difficult or not the way you want them to go as why me? And what the hell? God, what the hell? Or universe, what the hell? Or whatever the heck you believe in. Or what I'm learning now is you look at it from this whole different perspective of what am I supposed to be learning? Right? So when I'm going through some shit right now, I constantly scratch my head and I look around. I'm like, all right, what is the lesson built into this?
Well, the difference, though, if you're constantly looking down the abyss,
right,
you got to say what created it.
Right.
Now, there's sometimes elements, COVID, what happened in the financial world in 08, 09, some things you can't create. But if you're constantly dealing with certain things, you got to do a little bit of self-analysis to see if you're either not addressing something or if you could have handled something differently to avoid it.
Yeah.
I actually just had this conversation today with a manager, and it's very, very similar. When you have your muck and mire that you're dealing with, you got to put your head down. But if we're still talking about the same things 30, 60 days from now, then we haven't fixed the problem.
Right.
Always look at what the core problem is. But there's no doubt the basic principle that adversity can make you stronger. But if you're constantly dealing with the same adversity issues,
it's the definition of insanity.
Yeah, then there's something that you got to look at within yourself to say, all right, what am I doing to create this?
Yeah, totally. Like, be more self-aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now the second question. I think it's a little more easy, but has there been a like adage or quote when it comes to resiliency that maybe it's a Paul original, maybe it's a your dad original or somebody you love original, or that you think about when you think about tough times and getting through them?
I think I already said it. Work works.
Right.
Yeah. I really do go back to that often.
Yeah.
There's a very good friend of mine that lives down in this area that wrote a book called A Single Day of Peace.
Okay.
He lives he lives right around here.
Better get him on the podcast.
Oh, he would be great to get on the podcast. But it's basically the 50 principles that make the premise of the book is a single day of peace turns into many days of peace, and whatever. But it's somewhat of a spiritual thing, but it has the 50 lessons. And the fact is, one of the things in there is you're going to have people that are the brightest people in the world, and you're going to have people that are the hardest workers in the world. Generally, the hardest working people in the world are going to get a lot more done than the brightest people in the world.
Right.
Now, if you can get both, then obviously you
that's a whole other story.
That's a whole other story, and that's where excellence, I think, fits in. But the fact is,
Tom Brady.
The fact is, exactly. I mean, the fact is, if you go for the hard work, you're going to win more often, and that really is a very simple business attitude to be success, especially as an entrepreneur. Anyway, they have the beauty of being able to do what you want,
right?
But you also have the disadvantage of not having the guardrails sometimes.
Correct. It's like it's only up to you, and all this other stuff.
Sometimes it's just figuring it out.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's the simple premise that I think will help people through difficult times.
Yeah.
But really also being honest with yourself. Are you creating some of your own mess? If you're creating your own mess, then you got to help it. You got to look at some other.
Dust yourself off, get up, and freaking get it done. Guys, first off, I want to thank you. Time is one asset we don't get back. So you spending it here with us today means the absolute world to me, Paul. Thank you for. Just like, I love entrepreneurs, and I'm so grateful for, what you do in this community, around us in NJ, and how you show people the American dream is still living and well. As much as it seems like it's not, work works, right? You got to just get after it. So thank you for being who you are to the entrepreneurship community. And lastly, where can people find you? So if somebody locally here and like, damn, I want to go buy a car from this guy, where can they find you?
Well, Paul Sansone Jr., the local dealership is 66 Automall. We have Nissan, Kia, Mitsubishi. I have another Nissan dealership in Western Jersey, and we have a new Kia dealership opening up in Keyport soon.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we're under construction, so we should be opening up at the beginning of the year. So, but that's where I'm at. Local guy, Paul Sansone Jr. You can look me up, and you'll be able to find me.
I love it. Thank you again, Paul. And guys, if you're looking for these cars, go get Paul. Find Paul. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Bam! Let's go, man.